Bada bing, bada boom. We're here. Welcome. It's Tuesday afternoon. Roll for mischief time. We're gonna keep on rolling with this new episode that is titled Red Sky, being dungeon mastered by the illustrious Drew Murray over in the lower left corner. And yeah, any announcements? I think Josh has an announcement that he's really excited about that he wants to say.
Uh, so we have one follower left
To reach
until
affiliate
we get
status?
affiliate status.
Ah, it's happening.
Nice.
Um, so yeah, yeah. All we need is just one more, and it'll be, um, yeah. It'll just be we'll be able to actually do that and have more options available to us.
That's cool.
So
What are the cool sort of options that we might have available?
well, for example, we'll be able to uh, put up our videos on Twitch as opposed to putting them up on YouTube. We can still put them up on YouTube, but it'll probably be a slightly different process. It'll be able to go on DoD immediately, as opposed to like waiting until I have time at this point in my life. I have time to edit them and get them up. And probably what we'll do is we'll probably like have the most recent, say 2 or 3 videos up there for free, open and free, and then we'll lock them behind the paywall for anything prior to that. So I kind of go give people an opportunity to stay, like, so if they can't like watch it at our when we stream, they don't have to worry about having to pay $5. But if they want to watch, whatever, catch up, or if they just want to support us or whatever, it kind of affords that kind of opportunity. And then of course that also, like I said, that gives people an opportunity to support us, so that way we can grow. And yeah, be able to make improvements overall, like maybe allow us to make better financial investments, both for the stream and as members of the team, and maybe even be able to afford to be able to bring in new shows as well. So
I think the ability to like go and watch one of our episodes back, like if you just missed it, off of those in other time zones and things, that's going to be a huge help.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I'll probably still upload on. I might still upload on YouTube, but just making Twitch the primary.
It's hard to get views on YouTube. Like we really struggle to get views on YouTube.
Yeah, we do, which is one of the reasons why I kind of want to like keep the home mostly on Twitch, because we seem to do a lot better on Twitch.
We don't.
I'll look into YouTube. We might even look at YouTube being the home of other sources of Roll for Mischief material, as opposed to streaming the game. But those kinds of things are the kinds of things that we really can only look into after we start bringing in income, whether it's here or if people were to contribute on Patreon.
Given my social media research, we just don't have the content that really breaks through to YouTube very easily early on.
Right.
Websites, Nerdarchy does a great job, because Nerdarchy produces additional videos at the time frame that is very ideal for YouTube. But even their live D&D streams that I'm part of from time to time, they don't get the previous watches as much as their other videos do. The biggest thing they get is like the people who come in live and watch them there. That's where they're really really solid. So with us just producing Roloheen and Mischief and Misfits, we just don't put out anything that really hits YouTube's algorithm to make us success there. So Twitch is the way to go. If we can keep everything Twitch related, that's where we're going to shine. Help us do that, because I mean it puts me in a position where I'm able to step back from my day job a little more and put a little more time into this. And once that ball starts moving, once I can really start getting Roll for Mischief more accessible, then it all becomes a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Ideally, it still is difficult. It's a tough industry in general.
But it'll allow us to create more content because they'll have the two of us to be able to invest more in, and like
Just the two of us.
if I were to look at the situation and I were to say, oh hey, Roll for Mischief is now starting to have its engine rolling properly, I can lean back against the other things that I'm doing, that I am investing a lot of my time in, to be able to make money-making adventures for myself. It becomes much more worthwhile. As it stands right now, like, I have to split a lot of focus.
Yeah.
I get that, man. I do.
Other announcement-y things. I can't remember if I mentioned this last week or if I knew last week. I need to remember more things. But anyone in the UK, Bradford Literature Festival. It's £10 for a ticket to come and play at my table for D&D.
£10 of
it's
what?
free. Of flesh.
Sorry. Couldn't help myself.
It is £10 sterling, the British currency of the crown.
There you go.
10 quid, 10 bob for you to come and play. It is free for you to come and watch. And Bradford Literature Festival is a really cool looking place for like just loads of cool stuff. I feel really out of place with it. There's like refugees that are doing talks on the life story. There are people that have grown up in Britain in various parts talking about like all kinds of really pertinent social issues. And then there's me, a nerdy white guy playing D&D. So come support the arts.
Hell yeah.
I mean, those are important social issues. Just saying.
Yep.
D&D. Right up there on the list of things that are important and social.
Yep. But yeah, apart from that, nothing in the way of announcements from the UK. Good old British Isles.
Yeah,
All right.
I've got nothing from my little island between America and Canada.
Nothing
we got
from
nothing to
those
go on.
aisles.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's some stuff that happened here, but you guys don't want to hear about that since, you know, that's not what this stream is about.
No.
Tune in on my other stream and hear me talk about just my normal life.
The most boring stream ever. Just kidding.
It's why we have 0 followers.
All right. Well,
Social media presence isn't there.
not really.
I'm going to keep on talking as soon as Kyle tries to bring us back to the game.
So, actually, you know what? It's fine. I actually have all the power, so I can just go ahead and mute you. So I think, yep, I just did it. You can't even hear you. Can't even hear any of you actually, but they can hear me. So now that I have all the power, I'm just gonna go ahead and roll the intro credits. That's what I'm gonna do. Okie dokie. Bada bing, bada boom. Yet again, we're here. The
I spilled my coffee.
ugh.
I just
Asa,
thought you should all know that.
bad news.
That and it gave me an opportunity to interrupt you.
Don't make me mute you again. Don't make me. I will. I absolutely will.
All right, that's enough for me.
So, let's see. Where are we at in Red Sky? I have a very vivid memory of the end of the last session seeming a little bleak. If you look on the Twitch overlay, you can see everyone's hit points, and you can see that Eridu doesn't have many left.
No,
Yeah.
he fell down.
He fell down.
Well, rather, he slow fell down a giant 100-foot hole, and then took the full breath weapon of a frost dragon,
Straight up.
a white dragon, to the face.
Yeah.
He was
Yep.
at negative hit points after the layer effect set in, and actually, I realized this after the stream. He took 5 points of damage from the fall, and then he took the breath weapon. That should have dropped him.
Mm-hmm.
Then he took the cold damage from the layer action.
Mm-hmm.
But then Thiala threw him a heal. You know, he's got a little bit of life, but he's not looking good.
He's not looking good. And
I just love the whole like almost Mission Impossible level like visual of this,
Oh,
where
for sure.
Eridu's just like jumping down like a Metal Gear Solid ninja, like landing down in this layer, and then Thiala's like leaping over, crossbow, firing off some
no,
shots.
gun, straight up
Yeah.
gun, dude.
Oh yeah, she went with a gun. I'm
Yeah.
watching Eridu's sweat as it freezes in place.
Yeah, dude.
And by the way, that's the reason why I was asking for the rope, was if there was rope, is because I was trying to basically like do front down rappel instead of a jump.
Yeah.
So
You and your fucking rope.
You and your fucking rope. So,
But yeah, very, very, very cinematic, very
Mhm.
cool ending. Shall we do a little bit of
group therapy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Asa, would you mind starting us off with what's Eridu's state of mind beyond?
Riley has 15
I
hit
was
points.
not prepared for this. Let me just see real quick here. So,
I love that you had paper as well.
Eridu is, he's exhausted. I mean, not like the before, but like the kind of exhaustion that happens when you take a full-on frost breath to the face,
Yeah, like that kind.
and you are like just inches from feeling your life freeze out of you, into you, freeze around you. But having received a little bit of vitality from Thiala, which I'm going to go out on a limb here and say he probably doesn't even know Thiala's around. He just, feels himself about ready to collapse, and then suddenly he just has a burst of vigor. He's pretty single-minded right now. It is double-minded. It is between falling asleep in place and getting into that metal dragon and fucking shit up. Let's see which one happens.
Eigner.
Well, Eigner is not with Thiala and Eridu. He, through just a sequence of events and not being in the same place at the same time, he just kind of got separated and doesn't really know where Thiala and Eridu are, which is concerning. But at the same time, he feels like there is some shit that can be done. But he's in a position where he just doesn't really know what's going on. Just yet another one of those situations where it'd be really helpful to be able to see. And he can't. But essentially what he's done, he knows that he's in this area where there's like, you got the aasimar and you got the elves, and you even have this dragonborn guy that Eigner just totally fucking murked last session. It was awesome. So what he's done is he's just trying to like do a little recon and get his bearings and kind of understand what's going on right now. So he used his last spell slot to cast Disguise Self on himself and try and make himself look like a very generic, very inconspicuous elf. And he's just kind of following the crowd. I think you described, Drew, there was just the huge crowd that was walking toward like the mechanical dragon maybe or something, but Eigner's
Yeah.
just following along, just trying to be part of the group, and he's got his ears wide open and he's just trying to collect as much information as he can. So he's concerned, but he also feels like he can maybe do something helpful.
Hmm. Thiala. How's Thiala doing?
Well, I would say that I don't know. There's just she's all running on basically adrenaline and training and muscle memory right now. Yeah, I mean that's just a lot of what's in her head is I don't think that she I don't think she is the capacity to think because there's a big fucking dragon in front of her. And I think at the end of the day, until this exact moment, she still didn't quite believe that dragons were a real thing. She was like, these two guys are idiots. Like, okay, show me a dragon. But all she knows is something big chasing after Eridu. So she had to go after him. And, her muscle memory is her tactical thinking is you don't leave a man behind. And, she's certainly not going to let something fucking big eat Eridu. So she looked for a way to slow her fall. She couldn't find it, so she just basically swan dived into a giant pit, dead blind, and then saw a giant fucking dragon, and then is just kind of, I don't know, just trying to figure shit out right now. Is she's just like, I don't.
That's what we're all trying to do, dude.
Yeah, she shot at the dragon and hit it. Maybe that'll do something. Maybe not. She doesn't know. She doesn't know how dragons operate because they weren't real until 6 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, I think she has nothing. She's literally not thinking anything because she's operating entirely on muscle memory, and that's about it.
Right. So, quick recap for those of you that are watching. Now that you've had the character's state of mind for things, there'll probably be a few questions if you've not been keeping up to date with the stream. And if you haven't, go to YouTube, catch up, but not yet. Watch this. But the group went to an island, a frosty island, a frozen berg of an island, far to a cardinal direction on the planet, where it's very cold. We initially said north. It might be north. Don't know. But it's somewhere very cold. And they were going there to investigate the fact that the aasimar and the high elves were going to be testing their new weapon, which this very party discovered that they were developing under the supervision of a dragonborn sergeant, someone who was in charge of the military presence in the compound, which was unusual since the dragonborn historically the other team in the scope of ancient grudges and military feuds and whatnot. They came to this island and found that said other team, the mountain dwarves, were there to test their own weapons, some warforged. They were going to test the warforged out against the mechanical dragon and wipe out the aasimar and elves that were there so that there would be no witnesses and they would just know how good these things were in combat. Instead, what seems to have happened is as the elves were about to turn on the machine, it wouldn't have worked because Thiala deactivated it anyway, dissipating the magic within the stones that make up some of the mechanism. But just before they found that out, a large white dragon smashed into it and tunneled through a cover stone that was capping off the temple complex. Other entrances of which seem to exist, according to Sheniel, an aasimar witchfinder. Nope, never mind. an aasimar, an aasimar. We don't know any more information about him.
He's just an aasimar.
Stop reading your notes, Drew.
He's just a slender man.
He's just a slender,
Just a slender boy, dude. That's all he is.
Yep. Just him speaking to On and Alton, former player characters turned NPCs. And he was telling them and a bunch of elves that there are other entrances to this temple complex. They should fan out and find them so they can descend down and recover the war machine so that they could repair it, use it, whatever it is that they need to do. So they're going to head down there and try and get access to this mechanical dragon that is at the bottom of this pit. It's about 100 feet down. Thiala leapt down and slid along an ice slide into one of the corridors of this temple complex, which seems to be circular. Eridu dived down to fight the dragon and then parlayed with the dragon after a failed attempt at riding the dragon. Eigner is wandering about on the surface, trying to blend in with all of these troops that are in heavy snow coats and looking around for these entrances. And he overheard Sheniel, On, and Alton discussing about the fact that there were these other entrances just before we ended the last session. So that's where we begin. Shall we start with Eigner up top? More of a serene opening.
Yeah, I'm glad because I just have a very clear idea of what I would like to do. So, since I overheard, did I hear On and Alton speak?
Yes.
Okay, I heard the both of them.
Yeah.
And does Sheniel make any like kind of obvious kind of sounds like when he's flying around? Is he got like wing flappiness going on, or is he like silently hovering and shit?
Silently hovering.
Creepy. Of course he would. Of course he would. Well, Eigner. So I'm gonna make like 2 checks with Eigner. I'm gonna make a perception check that's based on his hearing, to try and triangulate and get a direction on where On and Alton are, and he's gonna try and go in that direction. And along the way, I'll make a religion check, and that is to try and like open up some kind of divine sense. And since Sheniel is supposedly some kind of aasimar, Eigner has an idea that he would just get like some kind of sense of like if he's going closer to On and Alton and Sheniel is still right next to them and he senses that, he doesn't necessarily want to get too close. It's like he wants to go up to On and Alton while Sheniel's not there. And he's going to try and do these 2 different like find where they are, try and sense if Sheniel's next to them or not.
How does he sense that Sheniel is there?
I'm trying to go for like some kind of religion check. You know what I mean? Just try and like justify that whole thing. Like try and open up some
Make
kind
it wisdom
of divine
based
sense.
and not intelligence based. It's more just you trying to feel spiritual rather than applying knowledge
Damn
of
straight. Yeah.
religion.
Yeah, I mean, like I
I'm
did very much the same kind of check when when Eridu and Eigner were in that the decimated village that got decimated by the dragon things, and there's all the spirits. It's like, yeah, I think that's just going to be kind of a new thing for Eigner to try and do, is like, you know, use divine sense in a way. Okay, so here's that perception check based on his sense of hearing. And that's going to be a total of 17. And here is that religion check that is based on wisdom. Oh, sweet. Oh, that's not sweet. That's only 13. Yeah. So it's 17 perception, 13 religion.
13 religion. And 17 on perception. Haha. Right. You even over the sound of the wind and the chiming snow, you're able to get a good sense of direction from them. When trying to feel within your very soul what other things might be around, you get this sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. Like something dangerous is nearby, but you have no idea what it is. And you recognize the pit in your stomach feeling way back in the day when you were a paladin, when you had these supernatural abilities. You would get the same feeling, but you would feel inspiration towards a particular kind of thing. You would get a sense of what thing it was. You would know if it was an undead or a celestial or a fiend. But that feeling's just gone. And there's a sadness that follows as this feeling in the pit of your stomach. You know that 10 years ago, you would know exactly what this pit in your stomach feeling meant.
Well, I'm gonna do like this weird kind of like voluntary, like almost like a saving throw to see how Eigner like reacts to this sense. It's on my keyboard. That's not good. Okay, Eigner, even though he is very uneasy about this sick feeling in his stomach and very just regretful that his, he's thankful for the divine abilities that he's been able to get now, but it's like so different from anything he's ever experienced. And yeah, he just kind of misses being a paladin a little bit. Kind of misses it. So, regardless of the sick feeling in his stomach, he will press on and try and reach on an Alton.
All right. You'll manage to get all the way up and approach them. You can feel the change in air pressure as you're nearing to be very close to you. They're standing still. There's one other figure standing in the snow near to them. And you can feel this gust as something else moves just above your head. And then you hear a voice saying, "Are you all right, soldier?"
I didn't think about what I was going to say. Okay. Here's what he says. He says, no, I'm not. I think my eyes have been damaged. I don't quite know where to go. I'm still happy to help, happy to fight. I just need someone to help show me the way.
Oh, absolutely. You can come with our party. I'm not sure if you were at the induction meeting before we set sail. I am Anthenoir. This is my companion Alton, with me at all times. And this here is Anarch. He's a fellow elf of yours, and we'll be heading down towards the west tunnel entrance. Would you like me to guide you?
That would be helpful. I can follow well. I just need a leader.
Indeed. Yes. Tell me, is it simply the snow that's blinded you, or was it some of the conflagration that the unfortunate interlopers had set forth in our camp?
Oh yes, the fire, the smoke. I mean, I just have sensitive eyes in general. You understand? I mean, I don't know how badly it's damaged. I think I might be okay. But I still want to help. Please, just lead me.
Absolutely. Everybody is needed. We need to get down there as soon as possible and recover the device. We have word that there may be others on the island, other than... I'll tell you about it on the way.
Yes.
Come with me.
Very well.
He begins leading you westward, Meanwhile, Thiala and Eridu, you guys are in this cylindrical chamber with all these little offshoots and things. Thiala, you're quite high up. There is 70 feet between you and... Well, no, sorry. There is now 50 feet between you and a dragon that is climbing up the walls in a circular pattern, and you have fired at it and dealt, according to my notes, 5 points of damage.
Yeah, not that much.
So, since it is moving aggressively, if you are looking to immediately sort of like take cover, try and get away, then we can just not bother with going into initiative and just quickly do like a stealth check. Or if you want to try and hold your ground against the dragon, we can go back into initiative with you and Eridu.
I think going into initiative, because as far as I know, one, it's a giant big fucking dragon. Two, you just beat the shit out of Eridu. And and three, as far as I'm concerned, it is a enemy combatant. So I wouldn't get out of, like, it would have to be like, whoa, hold on, let's calm this down a bit. And I don't think white dragons are known for their reasonableness.
Let's roll for initiative.
Well, mine is a 12.
12, you say?
I do. No, mine's a 15. I'm sorry. I rolled a 12. I forgot to add my bonuses.
Oh. That is 15. I got 13. Thiala?
23.
23.
Well, all right.
Well, 18 plus 5.
Yeah. Initiative count 20 for the lair. And Eigner, would you mind rolling initiative? Every second round, we're going to cut back to you and get some more dialogue, more of what Eigner's up to.
Sure. It's a big old one. In typical Eigner fashion, I think he always rolls like garbage initiative.
Dumpstat,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but Dumpstat Dex play characters almost always roll like shit.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah.
just
It's like always like less than 10 for an initiative roll with me.
I can play a rogue in one campaign and then play a paladin in the second campaign on the same day, and I will roll high as fuck on the rogue and just be at the bottom all day with the paladin.
Oh, for real. For real.
Right. So we will begin with Thiala, the warrior, the soldier, the poet.
Okay. Trying to think of it. Okay, so seeing how little that did, I think I am going to start with. I do have a question.
Mhm.
We've established that the reason why bards use instruments is because they are able to use. They are like emotional channels to the Feyweave.
Sure. That
That
sounds
was
cool.
that was something that I don't know if we talked about in game, but that was something that we talked about in the process of world building.
I remember something about it. It was definitely more of a...
Yeah,
sorry,
the
Yeah.
Feyweave being specifically an interweaving of magic from the Feywild to the mortal plane, not the actual Feywild.
Right.
Yeah.
The Feyweave was a different thing, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
you
right.
said Feyweave.
No,
Yeah,
I just
right.
wanted to point that out in case we had forgotten what that terminology was.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I think we need something to kind of help explain that, because that's always been just a weird thing. Like, why do they
Well, and
use
everybody,
musical
the way that
instruments,
I
you know?
understand it is everybody approaches it with coming from a different place. Clerics, their deity connects them to the Feyweave.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards use like schooling and whatnot. Bards use the emotions around them, specifically with the way that they play or the way that they inspire people to connect with the Feyweave. And the reason why I'm asking is if it's okay if I start using my weapons as a focus, because they essentially act for Thiala now, especially now that she's starting to move fighter. They are essentially acting as her emotional focus. I'm okay if not, but I want to know.
Weapons as bardic instrument.
Yes.
What was her instrument of choice?
Ocarina.
Ocarina.
She never used it as an ocarina. She has an emotional connection to the ocarina, and so she was using it to funnel.
If you take the barrel of the gun and blow over it, you could probably get like one note.
with Thiala's sword.
Sword never did and never affected anything. She didn't even draw it.
She didn't even draw it.
Yeah.
It's fine. Part of asking about the guns.
I'm wanting to say yes, but I'm thinking that like narratively, what would be cool? Like any melee weapon, if she just like adds to like onto the flat of the blade, like small ocarina style pipe bits. Whenever she swishes it through the air, it'll play. It'll just make like a solid chord, but what she could do is through like just magic block off little bits and play a tune.
Not melee weapons, but guns themselves.
The guns themselves. I mean,
she doesn't have any emotional connection to swords. She does have emotional connection to the guns because she feels like the guns are what saved her, and it's what she's going to use to save those around her. And the reason why I feel like
guns make noise. Yeah.
Now.
Oh yeah.
But if you guys say no, I'm fine. I just wanted to
know.
No.
Guns make noise. So long as there's some acoustic thing with the instrument that you're using, I'm fine with it.
Okay,
so
a giant fucking explosion is probably
exactly.
Guns make noise.
Yeah.
Guns make noise. Do it.
True.
Use it.
Okay. Does it have to make the noise whenever I use it, or just the fact that it makes noise?
We'll say just the fact that it makes noise for now.
Okay, because that's awkward.
Maybe add like some Green Ranger synthesizer buttons to the side of it or something.
Just because I never actually used it as a musical instrument to the ocarina before either, so I just wasn't sure. Anyway, so yeah, she's gonna take the gun because she still has it in her hand and kind of hold it up to her forehead, and she's going to release it and cast the fucking whatchamacallit. What is it called? Scorching Ray out of her circlet of blasting.
There you go.
Oh.
So, first roll. 16. Probably misses.
That misses.
Yeah. Fucking worse. Nat 20.
There you go.
Ooh. Yeah.
46 fire damage.
Yep. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. 15. Do I? Nope, I don't add anything. So just 15.
Yeah, that's not terrible. So yeah, as you shoot this blast of fire at the dragon, it closes its eyes, carries on, crawling forward, and then as soon as the blast has moved away from its face and started moving along the rest of its scales, it opens its eyes, and its pupils, at once large, very quickly narrow and focus on you, very cat-like and narrow.
Okay. And I'm at this point seeing that I'm gonna go, come get some.
And then you hear this
Goddamn.
like growl. We've done the freezing fog, so the next layer action that it uses is going to be, as it's doing this rumble in its throat, charging towards you, you note that rather than just moving along the slightly frosted stone walls. It is now stamping its feet as it's moving along. The wall's starting to shake, and above you on an awning, icicles start to break off and fall down. Right, so it's not a saving throw on your part, it's an attack roll on mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 18?
Yeah, that definitely for sure hits.
And, against Eridu, that is 24.
No, that misses. Alright. What happens? Do I die now?
You only take 10 piercing damage.
Use evasion. Use evasion.
I would love to, but it's not a
It's not a saving throw thing.
Oh.
No, it's not. He's not a rogue.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I just can't use it as a reaction. That's really what it is. I can still.
I thought it
use
was.
Well,
No,
what's
but
the
it's a
point?
dex save
What's the
anyway,
point
but-
of using it then? If it's not a reaction?
I'm sorry. I was not misthinking. No, it's not. It's an automatic thing. I automatically take half damage.
Right, but it's for dex saves, I believe.
Oh yes, it's
Yeah.
dex saves only.
So
Con save.
the rogue one is a reaction, but the but you can use it for either.
Yeah, so both of you take 10 piercing damage as these icicles fall down, strike against just the occasional extremity as you're trying to pull them away, dodge out of the way of these things.
For sure.
And as they shatter and small sharp shards of ice spread around, Eridu is ready to move. It's Eridu's action.
Well, Eridu is still, on his knees in the space he was at before the dragon flew away, and he is. His teeth are chattering. The cold is biting to his bones. He doesn't really notice anything far outside of a small radius of himself, but he is aware of the large metallic dragon that is laying inert not far away, and he makes his way and crawls under it and just kind of curls beneath it and shivers. Hopefully that'll provide some protection from falling anything, but aside from that, he's just gonna lay there.
As you move towards it, you do note that on the walls there are 2 exits that are clear. There is a third that is blocked, but there are on this floor archways into dark, stony corridors where there is some movement of the mist and icy fog in there. So there's some sort of air current.
Does he feel does he feel in danger at all? Like, is there anything to make him think that there's something coming toward him, or is it just a movement of air?
It's just a movement of air, and in fact the fog seems to be going into these corridors rather than something pushing air out of the corridor.
Okay, so right now in his current state of mind and his space of exhaustion, he's just gonna sort of curl in the fetal position under the dragon and expect that he doesn't have much longer to live, and that's going to be this current round
Right.
for him.
Okay.
Not
That's
that it will help, but I would use any sort of action that would allow me to reduce damage if it's possible, but I don't think I can for layer actions.
Right. With the breath, does not recharge. The dragon, as it's moving, spreads its wings out, gives a mighty flap, and then flies into the center of the column, moving up over Thiala. Moves towards her with its claws and mouth and goes to bite and scratch her and almost like hoist her up. Get to make 3 attacks. 1 with the bite, 2 with the
dragon.
claws. Yep. Well, that was much of a nonsense. Only the bite seems to have done anything. That's a 23.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah. So that is 15 piercing damage and 4 cold damage that you take as she grabs you in her jaws, tosses you upwards and lets go of you, and you collapse back down to the ground.
Oh, it's a girl dragon.
And then
Well, how much
continues
is it?
flying upwards. I'm sorry, that was actually my mistake. I did identify it as male last time, and now female this time. I just naturally inclined went. That
It
way.
doesn't matter.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, don't like try and tell the dragon what it identifies as. That's up to the dragon, dude.
The reality
Have you
is, none
asked
of us
it
have taken
or
a look
them?
at its,
They?
at its reproductive organs. We don't know. It's a giant scaly lizard that wants to eat us.
Yep. It's likely got a cloaca anyway. So, and it continues flying upwards into the blizzard above. So it has now left this cylinder chamber. It's still visible. It's still there. It's just now 40 feet above you.
40 feet?
Yes, which means that it's 10 feet out of the top of this chamber. So it's now visible to everyone. And lets out an almighty roar, which Eigner, On, and Alton, and the rest all hear.
Awesome.
Thiala will now get her round, her second go, and we'll go through the second round of combat, and then we'll skip back to Eigner, see what he's up to.
Okay. The range on my pistol is 60 feet until I get sharpshooter. So, 18?
That hits.
Okay. Let's see if I not roll a 2 this time. Well, I rolled an 8. I rolled 8, 5 plus 3 instead of 2, so I've increased my damage output.
Awesome. Always good, always good. Yeah, as you let out this other shot, the chamber rings out as if there's some metallic property to this chamber. The dragon lets out another roar, turns its head down, and looks like it's about to swoop. Throws its wings down to dive towards you. As it does so, exhaling.
Wait, does Eridu get a turn in that?
He
or-
does get a turn, but this is the lair action happening.
Oh, the lair action. Oh.
yes. So narratively, she's
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
like just swiveled and started diving, but she hasn't like mechanically moved anyway yet. But as this fog breathes out of her mouth, she starts filling up the chamber below her, around Thiala. So missing Eridu. But you now need to make a Constitution saving throw as this frozen mist fills up the area around you. It's DC 10.
Why can I not do math? 16.
16.
Yeah.
That is a pass. So you take 5 cold damage.
I honestly thought it was going to be much, much higher.
Yeah, it's DC 10.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's... Wow. I thought it was definitely going to be much higher than that.
At which point, the fog around Eridu dissipates entirely. So it's now clear down at the bottom. And Eridu gets a turn. So while you're huddling underneath here...
Huddling
looks like
underneath
you're being
this...
ignored.
Underneath this mechanical dragon, clutching my staff to myself, just kind of accepting that I'm down here by myself and no one is coming to my aid. The staff starts to, get warm, and as it does, vitality flows from it into me, and I'm going to cast Cure Wounds at a 4th level slot.
I don't know, you've heard a lot of, bangs and explosions in here.
Yeah, what potentially could be heard and what is currently going inside of the brain of somebody who is freezing to death are two different things.
True enough.
So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend my action healing myself. Once that happens, then I'll kind of be a little more aware of the world surrounding me, and I will use my next action next turn to tell you what I'll do next.
All right. The dragon swoops down, goes to get Thiala again, continuing to breathe this frost out of its mouth, which then hardens, tightens into this beam of frost. Which, of course, means that you now need to make another Constitution saving throw because it's recharged its cold breath.
Oh, Jesus.
Ah!
17.
DC was 15, so you take half the damage, which is 22.
That's half.
That's half.
Wow.
22 cold damage.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm down.
And it swoops right past you, heading all the way down the full 80 feet that it can move. So it's now 30 feet above Eridu, diving downwards. And Eigner.
Okay. Well, so as we're walking, we heard the crazy roars of the dragon, and then the dragon swooped right down. And the one thing I was going to ask is, like, as we're walking, Eigner just wants to listen intently to the footfalls around him and just confirm that when On said, these are the people that are around us right now, he's just confirming that that's true. So there should be, obviously, Eigner, there should be small, light footfalls of prancing little Alton Bright Moon. There should
Probably wolf footballs.
okay. Like, yeah. Probably the wolf. Forgot about.
No, like, you wouldn't hear
Well,
Alton, you would hear the
oh.
wolf.
Because
No,
he's,
'cause
on
he's riding the wolf.
Because he's riding
I
the
also
wolf.
forgot about the wolf.
Yeah.
I also forgot about
So the
Yeah.
wolf's there. What's the wolf's name again?
Domni.
That's it.
Yes.
Domni. Okay, so I'm probably hearing Domni's 4 paws.
Yep.
I'm hearing the very awkward gait of On. And I'm hearing another pair of feet that, sounds like it's about the same, like, height, weight, and build as On, perhaps. Kind of around there. Do I hear anything?
You can hear distant footprints that are moving further away, and the occasional shout and call from different groups. It sounds basically like the groups are disbanding,
For sure.
going into their different directions to try and find these entrances.
Okay, so but in the
you
immediate
guys are pretty much
area-
alone now.
Yeah, in the immediate area, it's just that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do they react to the crazy? Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing.
Mhm.
Just to confirm, in the cylinder crazy thing that Eridu and Thiala are in, the white dragon's in there, but also the mechanical dragon's fallen all the way down to the bottom.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. I got it. Okay, so how did On and Alton react to the white dragon fucking going ham?
They speed up.
For sure.
They start running
Okay.
away. Alton especially urging Domni with a little ruffle behind her ear to move faster.
What, she doesn't act like Mario?
Or just bash
Just
her on the
give
back
her
of
a
the head.
punch in the head. Yeah.
For sure.
They hurry up. On lightly touches your elbow and says, "Run faster, friend. Danger is afoot."
Yes, no, I can hear that, absolutely.
Yes. As they're running along, he then starts expositing at you. By first saying, "When we first arrived here, I did have a sense that we weren't going to be alone for very long. When did you first sign up, by the way? I'm terribly sorry. My manners are absent a lot of the time, but I'm learning to be better."
Oh, I'm new. I just came on the most recent, reinforcement vessel.
Ah, very good.
Yeah. So
as I was saying, oh, I'm sorry, I cut you off. That's also rude of me.
No,
Alton
no.
has been trying to teach me better.
Oh no, please continue.
All right. They then slow their pace, and you can hear this very obvious sniffing around of Domni trying to find something. She's sniffing at the ground, and everyone's sort of slow to almost stop. We're currently looking for an entrance down into the caverns below. Most likely because of your hindered eyesight, you won't realize that about a minute ago, the great weapon was forced to plunge into a cavernous structure that lies below. Uh, our leader, Sheniel, was informing us that there would be entrances around here, and that's what we're currently looking for. It seems that we're going to be delving down into this ancient temple and trying to recover the devices.
Okay. That sounds simple enough.
Indeed.
Where did Sheniel go?
He's gone to tend to other matters. It seems that Eridu's force is not the only one that we'll be contending with on the island.
How do you mean? There's more?
Indeed. Did you receive the briefing on Eridu and his ways?
Not entirely. I must admit, I had a bad reaction to some stew, and I was indisposed in a very ugly fashion. I think I missed that whole briefing.
Right. Well, it's not one given to all of the recruits, but some of them I've been assured have been given some of the material that I'd written, and is being copied by quite a few scribes and handed out, but not quite ready to be disseminated amongst everyone. Eridu Samaria is a dangerous foe indeed. While we are able to keep track of his movements and his current acquaintances, he proves evasive at times. It's difficult to track him everywhere. But the thing to keep in mind, I'm terribly sorry, I didn't catch your name.
Frey.
Frey. Frey, the thing to keep in mind when it comes to this Eridu Samaria, an elf, he's trained in very martial arts, very quick to disarm you with both his wit and his hands. Thing to keep in mind is that he is a trickster. He lies constantly and manipulates everything. The party that he's currently with is something of a freedom fighter group as far as they're concerned. They don't yet know the twisty turns of Eridu's ways. One of them is a curious drow. She's a very capable warrior. We've had a threat assessment done on her, and we identify her as perhaps the most potent threat to even the greatest of aasimar warriors. There is another that Eridu keeps party with, and he is perhaps the most curious and versatile of the group. His name is Eigner Bosch, someone who I have had the pleasure of meeting and getting to know. Eigner, he is quite easily led astray in his mission for power. Some time ago, he lost access to it, and it's been a tragedy seeing him fumble around trying to recover it in some form ever since. While I haven't been able to determine exactly how, it seems that he's regained a modicum of said power. I don't have the means to determine exactly how much power he has, but it means that while a capable fighter, he is also able to bring some magics to bear. He will perhaps be the most dangerous opponent that we face here. Eridu controlling the two of these under delusions of fighting for the freedom of Twin Harbors, an inconsequential town when you really come to think of it. It is but a speck on the map. There's much more things to be thinking about. The balance and peace of the region. Ah, have you found something, Alton? At which point you'll hear a couple of yaps from the wolf, and Alton will inform the group that they have found one of the entrances. And what the hell named it? Anarch
And
and Domini begin digging, pawing at the snow, which you can hear. They seem to be uncovering an entrance as you speak.
mm-hmm. Okay. It feels like a good time to like move to the next thing, but in response, before we move, Frey, my new name, Frey will try his best to have a look of just shock and a twinge of terror, and he just says something like, "Oh, oh, I hope we don't have to have a direct confrontation with any of with any of them."
Mm. If you were ever caught in a tight corner, Thiala and Eridu will tear you apart, unfortunately. They have no mercy when it comes to perceived enemies. Eigner you may be able to reason with, but I fear his conflicted soul have made him fall under the sway of Eridu quite deeply.
I love all this, by the way. This is great.
You're not wrong about Thiala. I know
All
that
right.
I know that he's trying to overblow her like personality
Yeah.
and everything like that. He's not wrong.
He's not really that wrong.
I think he's got Thiala down the most accurate.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's great.
Eridu's
Yeah.
overblown. Thiala's like,
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. That is absolute.
Thiala's
What is
right
that? Oh god, what is that called? No, just when you're like trying to sway public opinion by demonizing
Propaganda.
Propaganda. Yeah, it's absolute propaganda.
It's great
Yeah.
propaganda.
It's good though. It's good.
For sure.
Yeah.
All
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a good
While
pause.
yeah,
Yeah.
while they're digging, we'll skip back to Thiala.
All right. Be right back.
death save.
Yep.
19.
That's a pass.
Yep.
One shy of a 20.
I know.
But like, I always feel really uncomfortable about the fact that the 19 on a d20 typically is right next to the 1, which means that it's closer to a critical fail than a critical hit, and
Yes,
that
it
always
is.
makes me nervous. Excuse me. Okay. This dragon, as it swoops down, will then throw its wings forward to stop itself, and then use the rest of its breath to, let's just have a look here, blast the walls, and it will do a circle, sort of like twisting its wings in this figure 8 pattern to turn itself, pirouette in the air, blasting the walls very quickly, and it spins faster and faster, the ice building up and building up until it creates this solid, opaque wall of ice. So Eridu is now entirely blocked off, stuck on this lower floor, unable to see what is happening up above. And then he can hear this muffled sound of the wings beating and getting quieter as it's obviously moving away. Eridu.
Okay. Well, not knowing what's happening in the world above me, including Thiala's state of dyingness, but feeling a bit more rejuvenized, I'm gonna, looking up at the wall of ice and seeing a barrier between me and the dragon, I'm gonna use his staff to hoist myself up, and I'm gonna make a stealth check, wrapping myself in my elven cloak, and then I'm going to climb onto the metal dragon and attempt to I'm gonna get myself in the driver's seat and attempt to see if I can get this thing moving.
Ooh, baby.
Right.
Oh,
I
dang.
believe with my cloak I have a bonus to my stealth check.
Okay.
You goddamn better.
I have advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide, and then creatures perceiving me have disadvantage to see me. So wow, I That advantage was something so helpful. I rolled a 3 and a 4,
Nice.
so my stealth is an 11.
Nice. Doing great.
But luckily, there's disadvantage to seeing me as well. So as my cloak kind of begins to change shape and become silvery and sort of meld in with the metal dragon's exterior, yeah, I climb into the cockpit, and my action is the stealth check. So I'm assuming that my next turn will be trying to figure out how to move this thing.
As you climb into the cockpit, you find that there are splashes of blood on the scaffolding, on the bars and rivets around you.
Yeah.
Descending into the seat, as it's laying on its side, you're sort of like climbing and you're now stuck sideways. You see that there are a few levers and a couple of switches that are set almost like those weird like train things that you can like put on train tracks, and it's just like a lift thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, one of those things. Yeah, you've got levers like that that are set and able to tilt one way or the other as a set of switches. Everything looks large, cumbersome, and very much a prototype.
Yeah, I'm looking at these switches and levers, and I've got no idea where to start.
Intelligence check.
I mean,
I'll figure it out.
I'll make that on my turn.
Word.
My next turn.
Thiala, another death save.
Wait, but it says Thiala's got 14 hit points.
No, it does not.
What?
Does it not?
It must not have updated because Thiala does not.
It's updated on my end. 0 out of 85.
Weird. Okay.
I happen to roll another 19.
Well, there you go.
Nice. Okay. All right. We're getting there.
Yep.
All right. Eridu, you can hear again this cracking, crystallizing of the air above, but it's muffled by this barrier of ice above you.
Okay.
But it's now your turn again. So,
all right. So I will go ahead and make some sort of check to discern how.
I think wisdom, like intelligence, more and more as time goes on, is solidifying as very much the
knowledge you currently possess.
Yeah, rather than the ability to work things out. So I think a wisdom check, like I don't know, I'm in two minds in this particular application. Because classically,
intelligence would be how you figure out the mechanics of it, like your problem solving. Wisdom is your kind of using like instinct. You're kind of like, I hope this seems about right.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say.
Wisdom.
Looking at all these levers and knobs, Eridu is gonna close his eyes and he's going to say, I am one with the universe, and the universe is one with me. You are part of the universe. Show me where to begin.
Yes.
Guide my hand.
Yes.
That's
I'm going to call this a wisdom.
That's fucking
That's
wisdom.
100% justifiable wisdom.
That's fucking wisdom, dog.
That's what people forget about D&D is. It's how you tell the D&D what you do, and the D&D tells you what to roll.
Yeah.
You just give the DM a solid wisdom check.
Word.
You tell the D&D what to do. D&D, make me roll the wisdom check. All right. That is not great. That is an 8 in total. The universe is not speaking to me. This mechanical device is an abomination.
Okay, so instinctively, you put your hand on one of these switches and you yank it to the left. You feel this very solid clunk, as if it's definitely settled into a position that it's supposed to be in. And you can see one leg scratch against the wall, come back up into a near fetal position, and then you feel this great amount of heat behind you. Behind you and underneath you is this collection of large metal and stone cogs, as well as plates. one of these is starting to glow red hot.
Oh, it's gonna be me who kills Eridu.
Was that my action to start the thing?
I'll say that that will be like a using item thing, so it's like a
Okay.
minor free action thing. But we'll say at maximum you could do three things, three levers to see what the results are in a turn.
Okay.
Without it
Well,
being an
I don't want to
bonus
pull a
action
lever.
action.
What I would like to do is I
Oh,
would
sorry, is
like
it using an item and action, Josh?
Oh, I was saying like basically use object bonus action action.
Yeah.
yeah, interact with an object as an action, and then normal action because interact with object is a free action. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my action to produce water for my water whip, and I'm just going to like send that towards the cog and try to cool the device.
Good call. Good call.
I'm actually a little bit worried because I think dousing it in water is going to cause it to crack. Because me personally as a human being, because of the quick change in temperature,
Mm-hmm.
but Eridu not having the knowledge of like smithing and stuff, he's not going to fully know how this is going to work.
Dude, he's trying to get this rig like liquid cooled, man. Like
Yeah, this thing is overheating, and he's trying to calm it down.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to.
you can really overclock it if it's like liquid cooled, man.
Right. Totally sorry, I missed the tail end of that just because I was concentrating on a little text thing that was going on.
Oh, it's just the idea that me personally, as a person or as a human, as Asa with his knowledge is worried that I'm going to damage this thing more, but Eridu doesn't have the same knowledge I do, so he is doing what he, water cools hot things. That's his reasoning.
Okay. Yeah, you'll get some steam rising up, but it doesn't seem to be damaging anything at all.
Okay.
Any other actions?
If it seems like it is cooled down, I'll go ahead and tentatively give another lever a push, whichever one, or pull, whichever one again kind of seems right to me.
All right. Give me another wisdom check.
I'm going to retire this dice because that's a 1.
Nice.
I think the surface is just terrible.
Thinking better of trying the switches, you try one of the levers and throw it from close to you into a forward position, and the entire thing lurches forward and then back into its rested position.
Okay.
Though this thing being on its side is causing a lot of problems, because you also notice that the wing that it's trapped on top of tried to move but couldn't.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's my 3 actions. That's probably my turn.
Yep. And then it's the dragon's turn, but no one alive can see what it's doing, so...
Where did the dragon go off to? Did it go all the way up and like flew out, or did it go?
It hasn't
back
flown
down?
out, no.
Oh, it's like still, yeah,
Yes.
still in that
Got its breath weapon back.
area. Oh dang.
Yep. And now back to Eigner.
Okay, so they have uncovered the entrance. Are we going in now?
Yep, that's the way people are going. Are you wanting to do anything before people go in, or are you trying to go in with...
I want to go in, and
Mhm.
essentially, I want to let. Here's my plan. I want to let On or Alton. It's probably going to be On. Talk more, find out a little more information, and as Eigner is listening to On talking, he is actively using his 21 passive perception based on his hearing. He's actively using that to try and get a sense of how large a corridor that they are in. And he's trying to find a good spot to do something. And the good spot to do something is going to be when the corridor narrows significantly. He wants to be in this space where if he needs to, he can be like just a huge like block off like sentinel, you know. He's searching for a choke point. He wants to like have this action, um, but he doesn't want to do it in a huge open space. So essentially, like if you want to talk more with On, and then say like, okay, it's narrowed to this like certain point or whatever. Like I'm looking for like less than a 10-foot gap.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Or you can just tell me it's like wide open, and then I'll be like, and then like if we're in this huge cavern, then I'll have to figure out what else to do. You know?
It's immediately a descent down, but you feel protection from the elements as you're being guided down a set of stone steps. There's this massive stone hood that's come up and protected the entrance that was just filled in with snow. That's been dug away. They begin leading you down. Anarch is immediately behind you. He says that he's taking up the rear, and he is turning facing the rear, so he's not even looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
He's walking slowly backwards with his weapon drawn, keeping an eye out. Meanwhile, Domni is at the front with Alton on top and On behind next to you, Eigner.
Mm-hmm.
The stairs themselves are only about 5 feet wide, but 8 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
You descend down this straight set of stairs, and it opens up into an antechamber that's a 20-foot diameter circle. There is one exit to the northeast, so to your right, but not immediately right, so ahead right. And you're blind, so describing this room's going to be hard.
I mean, like the dimensions is something that I think is like sensible, and like you don't have to give me much beyond that at this point, because that's what is significant for Eigner. And you know, the dimensions, he's gonna take that in a more relative sense. Like as soon as they hit the antechamber, he'll be like, oh man, this is like wide open. This is wide open. Like this is not my spot. You know.
Yeah. The doorway, you can also feel, especially the way like sounds are echoing around this place. The roof is domed. The doorway is this large archway that's about 12 feet wide and about the same amount of height to it. Again, vaulted, arched. It seems that is the standard architecture for this building, as though the corridors were designed to let either large amounts of people through at once, or to let larger beings through.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So... Alright, so, Eigner will probably... If you want to have On saying a couple of things as we're taking this whole journey down the stairs, through the antechamber, into this corridor, Eigner will probably go about like, I don't know, 30, 40 feet down this corridor and then make his little move.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, if you just want to have him talk a little bit, and then I'll interrupt at some point, or say your piece, or...
All right. Eventually, while they're walking down the corridor, they'll come to a T-junction. And at that point, On and Alton will agree to split, go to the ends of this T-junction to where they note that there are corners, both of them turning to sort of point in the same direction, and they'll just have a look down, see what they see, and then report back at the middle of the T-junction. As they're walking towards this T-junction section, On will let you know, since you're blinded at the moment, do let me know when your sight returns. I imagine it's temporary, but I'm no medic. This chamber is quite remarkable. you really should see it. Lots of reliefs carved into the wall. It seems at some point there was some paint on it, although the color's mostly faded now. And it seems that these corridors were designed for larger beings than ourselves. Interesting. Did you perhaps conduct any research before sailing to this island to discover anything about the local flora or fauna?
No, to be completely honest with you, I did not do a lot of research. I just kind of got, they have this whole phrase like you got voluntold to do something, like you volunteered, but it was someone else volunteered you to do it, and you didn't have much say in the matter. I mean, that's more or less the situation.
Right. I'm afraid I'm woefully ignorant of the training practices and recruitment processes of the, for lack of a better term, grunts. I don't know anything about your experiences, Frey. Nor do I wish to.
Not much to know. Not much to know.
At this point, they'll be very much into the corridor. You get this smell that's kind of like a sort of almost chlorine-y smell. And you're feeling cold spots, patches where it's ever so slightly colder.
Mm-hmm.
You then hear Anarch behind you go, I wonder what this moss is doing here. This doesn't seem the environment for it. Then Alton turns and over his shoulder shouts, "No, don't touch that!" And then you just hear this cracking sound, as if ice settling into a tankard, cracking slightly under the heat. And then you don't sense anymore. He is not moving, he is not breathing.
Wow. Frey will say in a very cracked voice, what happened?
It would be horrifying to describe, but rest assured, provided that you avoid any fuzzy white patches, you should be... Your inability to see does hinder things somewhat. This is certainly not the environment for a blind person. Might I suggest that you simply don't brush up against anything soft-looking? Do you have a stick?
So at this point, Eigner will say something, not Frey. His Eigner will intentionally drop the charade, and he'll actually say something like that. When he speaks now, his voice is much deeper and more like his real voice. And he'll say, "It matters not, An. It's time to end this charade." And at that point, he will drop the disguise self.
Thiala! I think that's a great moment to switch on.
It's great. And then right as we go on break, before we go on break.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
I did not notice the time.
I was using that as like the cliffhanger, the break cliffhanger. Oh, okay, all right.
You'll see why in 2 seconds. Right as that moment happens, Thiala slips deeply towards death. Nat 1.
Bummer. Can't Eridu stop fucking around with the mechanical dragon and go use his healing staff on
He doesn't
Thiala?
know.
I mean, he totally could if he had any idea where Thiala was or that she was dying. But he does not.
Oh my gosh. Well.
All right.
Shit,
well, stay tuned. We're gonna go on a quick break to go and recharge our glasses and make sure that we can talk. But yeah,
it's getting crazy, dude. It's getting crazy.
Yeah.
Come back with us in 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes, and it'll get crazy, dude. Hey, thanks so much for joining us. We're the Roll for Mischief crew, and we'll be right